Yo, GM. We'll get this live session fired up in a moment. Gonna let the algo do its work and get some people trickling in. Send out my obligatory posts and notices. Let's go. Turn the music down. We'll get this fired up. There we go. A little bit more manageable so it's not distracting. How is everybody doing today on this Friday morning after another day of carnage and bloodbath in the markets yesterday? Hope you're doing all right. I hope we've been able to catch some of the trades setups that I've been sharing. Some of the trades that I've outlined. And you know, if you've been following along, we've been short biased. Three tree free, says GM. GM, sir. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Starting the session a little bit earlier today for the New York Open show. What are we looking at here? We got the BTC weekly chart up. That inside week play played out to a T. Hasn't quite taken out the low yet, but we'll get into why that was a setup, why I outlined this particular weekly candle and why it's been outlined now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 going on 11 weeks. We'll get into that in a moment. Go through our outline for today. GM. Welcome to Rapture's Scalp and Swing Sessions number 8. Live perps trading and analysis, the New York Open show. Been working on tweaking the titles a little bit so they're a little bit more specific. We've got the weekly close show, which we'll have another one again on Sunday where we do our high time frame analysis. But today's the New York Open show, where our focus is on live perps trade setups and low time frame execution. As I mentioned a moment ago, we're going to review the inside week play and see what that's all about and why I had that outlined and why I said, I think 2 weeks ago on Sunday, that we took out the inside week high, that those typically tend to trade back down towards the inside week low. And we've had almost full follow through since. Spoke about it last Sunday and the Sunday before as well during our previous New York Open show on, what was it, on Tuesday morning? Well, here we are on Friday, and we got the follow through. I'll also take a couple chart requests for anyone that has any. You can drop it in the chat either on YouTube or on Twitter during this live session. Let me get rid of this banner because we are live now. There we go. Well, hello. I am Rapture, and we are here live. Let me switch this up. Here's our BTC chart. What I want to do today is we're going to clean up some levels. I know we usually save the high time frame levels for our Sunday shows for the weekly close show, but we've had a significant development since our last high time frame level show. So I want to clean up some levels and clean up our chart and start going down time frames. We'll take a look at the daily. Well, on daily, we had our short outlined that we were looking for in this supply zone, came in and tagged one of our high time frame levels and dump a renode. So let's start marking out some levels, start making some adjustments. Okay. Oh. And also, if the music, you guys, if you ever find the music is distracting, I can also do these shows during the show without music. I know it's, when you're watching a replay, I don't know about y'all, but I like to put it on 1.5 speed, and maybe the music gets a little bit distracting during that. So if it is distracting, please feel free to let me know and I will make adjustments. But I try to keep the level low enough so it's not distracting. Okay, so BTC daily chart. What do I see here? Well, we've got our new swing high right here. This was the swing high that created a fresh lower low, right? We had been in lower low territory since we broke this low here. Lower low, lower low. Well, now we've had a new significant lower low. So we can update our chart a little bit. Here's our swing high, our range defining swing high, our structure defining swing high. We don't have our swing low set yet, especially on daily. That's going to take at least 2 more candle closes before we can definitively call that a swing low. It's tentative as of now. It's also our H4, but we'll get into that. Here's our market structure break level, our fresh market structure break on daily. There's our new lower low. We can switch this now just to an internal swing level, right? I like to leave those levels marked out for future reference. We'll also keep this one here. We also have a new area of supply, this whole area here. That's a big ass box, I know. But what do we say? Our supply and demand zones are just target zones. They're just target zones for what we're looking for the next trade. Looking in the chat, L Munson 19 says, think we see some relief, tongue twisted myself there. Look, let me take a sip of coffee and try that again. Think we see some relief first. Good chunk of licks sitting at 85.6K that should get taken before next move down. Curious your thoughts. Well, you can see we've come in and we've taken out a monthly level. Why is that our monthly level? Well, this is that level that we've had marked out for almost a year. It's been up there for a while. This is the level that acted as our previous dead stop zone. Well, we're not back into that level. Is this just a retest? So one thing, no, I got you, Al Munson. One thing that I like to do, the reason why I mark out the high time frame levels is because I'm looking for interactions at the level. And I also, a rule that I like to live by, or that the way that my brain views the market is, I want to be looking for reasons to get bullish at or near range lows and bearish at the highs. And that serves us really well. But well, if you've, I'm not sure if this is your first time joining or if you've joined in the past, but I like to trade intraday. So I will trade both ways depending on what the market is giving me. And yes, are we looking for some relief here? I would say so. We're going to keep marking out what we were just doing. So here's our daily supply. We can actually even probably just incorporate it to there. So we're looking for next bounces, the next potential short to be up into here. This is our daily supply. These are our key levels. I can also see we took out a level over here. But I think the more important level is that weekly range quarter. So this is our daily time frame levels, key levels mapped out. Now we took out a lot of resting liquidity that had been sitting underneath these levels for a long time. Now we're down into that monthly level. Let's go to H12, see what we're working with. Okay, now this is what we need to clean up. This is fucking messy. Let's just tidy this right up. Let's just tidy this right up. And you can see that move that led to this expansive leg down was an H12 SFP right up into there that we outlined and that we were looking for as a trigger for short from last week. We can get rid of that level now. I'm going to say we can probably also, we'll leave this one because we can see how critical it's been. I'm now going to say we can probably get rid of, it did act as a little bit, so let's see. What are we getting rid of here? What are we actually getting rid of here? Because we don't want to, the whole point is as we move through and as the chart moves, we start to clean it up so that it's not a shit show. That level did act as important previously. Is this our daily level? Yeah, it's our daily level, so we'll leave that for now. Starting to tidy things up a little bit so that it's not overpowering. Here we are on H4. Let's clean this up. Let's clean this right up. So this is our daily supply. Just clean this all up. Clean this up. Clean this up. I think we can move this up to here now. Get rid of this. It acted as no support on the way down, so that is a gone level now. So can we look for some relief, as you're asking? Well, look at what we have taking place here already, right? And this is where we'd want to see that into that monthly level. Keep dropping down to time frames. Okay, so I outlined this for some friends of mine earlier today, where I was saying if we can break and close the H1, the hourly above this box, well, we're hunting longs as a retest off of here, and it's looking like we're going to get that. Seeing a nice reaction off that monthly level. Let me switch up this track real quick so that we're not just listening to the same thing on repetition. But I want to keep the energy up, so let's find something that still has that energy to it. There we go. There we go. So this is our hourly market structure shift breaker box. We get that H1 close above here, which is looking fairly likely, just under 15 minutes to the close. Well, then we'd be hunting next longs as a retest into there. What I do want to talk about, though, as I spoke about at the beginning of the show, as well in my Telegram channel, Rapture's Trade Book, which you can find links to in the description for this video on YouTube if you're joining by YouTube, as well in my bio on Twitter, a free public channel where I share trades more frequently and more off-the-cuff thoughts. So make sure you join us there, as we have been putting in some great work. We've been nailing direction. Our bias has been dialed. Our levels have been dialed, all about those high time frame levels. Okay, so let's break this down. We'll start again from monthly. I know this isn't a high time frame level show. We're looking for low time frame trades, but let's just take this since we're here, since we've had this significant move. We have our monthly close. So what I like to do is mark out the close levels, especially on the primary range that we're trading in on monthly. That's our lowest monthly close, highest monthly close, and this is that midpoint that we've had marked out for over a year now. And look at those levels, just giving you, right? If you wanted to go super high time frame and just trade the higher time frame swing levels, well, this is how you do that. We're into that monthly level here. So now let's pop it down to weekly and see what we have here. Let me remove these and I'll show you how and why I've marked this out. So this leg here is the primary weekly range that we're trading in. So what I do is I pull up my fib, which I have pre-marked as range quarters, and there's our range quarters. And range quarters tend to be really strong levels, especially on weekly. It just auto maps out the 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 1, right? So it's just the quarter points of a range. This is our primary weekly range. It's a bearish weekly range. Then, when we got down on this candle, you can see, since this candle printed, every single weekly candle since for the last 10 weeks has been an inside week. What does that mean? that just means we've been trading inside of this week. All of this price action for over 2 months now that has been chopping people to bits. Range trading, a lot of people find range trading difficult. They're more trend traders, right? The breakout traders. Well, I was born in a range. I was born in that sideways price action. That's where I really learned and started my trading chops, was in a sideways price action environment. Right? I really started learning tail end of 2021, but all through 2022, to initially in a bearish market, right? That's here. Nope, sorry, that's not there. That is here. Back here. I learned trading through this and then this. No, that is also a lie. Here we go. This was here. Brain farts this morning. I started learning to trade through this. And I really started picking up my education and practice here and here. And when this started to happen, I was actually focused on chain. But this sideways price action is really where I learned my initial trading chops. So range trading and me are match made in market heaven. So we've got our weekly range marked out in range quarters. We have that weekly SFP level there. Well, what can I also see that's taking place? Well, we might be SFPing this level here on weekly. So let's just mark that out. Still 2 days and change until the weekly close, so we don't know if that's going to be an SFP, but it's important to mark that out. So next, what do? I grab my fib again to do those range quarters. Since we've been talking about that inside week, I just mark that out with range quarters. And you can see the interactions off those quarter points. So when inside week play, often what happens is when you're trading inside week like that, if you take out a high or if you take out a low, you look for it to trade the opposite direction. And that's what we had take place here. When that happened, if you'll remember back to 10 days ago or so, we had this marked out as our bearish daily breaker that formed the wick of the weekly SFP. And that's exactly what we came in and rejected from. And we had all this laid out in real time for you during these live streams and in the Telegram channel. So we took out the weekly inside week high, right? That's this level here. We'll also tag in the monthly level. There was a lot of reason in this region here. There was a lot of reason to think that we were going to trade the opposite direction, and here we are. We've since put in a market structure break with a daily lower low, another market structure break with a daily lower low, and now another market structure break with a daily lower low. Here's our swing high. Here we are on H12. Looking fairly probable that this will be our range low, but we don't know yet. So what we'll do is we'll go to H4 and we'll tentatively mark that level as our H4 range low, with eyes on it probably leading to the H12 range low. We don't know about daily yet, right? Why is that? Why did I say that? Because we don't have a swing low yet. For me, the way that I trade swing levels, you go by swing highs and swing lows. And what that is a swing high is a 3-candle pattern, a low, high, low, with the wick, the middle candle being the extremity of that swing point. Just like here, this was a high, low, high, making this a swing low. A low, high, low, making this a swing high, swing high, swing high. Well, we don't have that swing low yet. On H4, we do though. This is our H4 range. Swing high to swing low. Let me just double check that this is not a swing high. This is our H4 swing high. This is our H4 swing low. This is our primary H4 range. Look at where we're rejecting, right? I talk all the time about marking out your key high time frame levels. And what level is that? That's that weekly level, right? That we just marked out that potential SFP level. Well, that's exactly what we're finding resistance. That's that level we just marked it. Golden Nugget 2031. Can you lower the music bit so we can hear you better? Yeah, of course. You know what? I'll just turn it off. Why not? Let's turn it off for now, because this is valuable intel that I'm dropping here. Is that better? Should be much clearer. I could also turn up the mic, but I think the mic volume is pretty good. So this is why we mark out our high time frame levels, our high time frame swing points. Now, you may be looking at this and saying, well, that's quite a few levels up there. Well, I'm not using those automatically as a trade. What I look for is when we get to those levels, the price action and how the interactions take place on lower time frames. So here we are here into that weekly level. I bet you if we go down to low time frames, look at exactly where it started projecting from, to the tick. Let's go down to M1 and see what we got working on here. Okay, so we've even had a market structure break here on M1. It's making this long. Ooh, and we're putting in a potential SFP of the H1 here. Let me put my indicators back on so you can see. All right, let's open up our battle station. Yes, it's a lot going on here. This is my primary battle station, though. And I've mentioned in the past, it may look compressed here, but when I'm trading live, when I have it set up and I'm not streaming, I'm not doing these live sessions, I have this on my main monitor, which is quite large, and it shows up, you know, what this looks like here, compressed, each of these looks like a full-size chart for me. And I trade like this because I like to have information at my hands, at my fingertips, at the moment of impact when it gets to a level, so I can decide whether I'm taking a trade or not. Now, here we are on M5. Here's some of those signals I look for, right? When you're taking intraday, low time frame, or scalp type trading into that weekly level, large market buy orders, meaning that's your late aggressive market buys into the level, into the MA, the moving average, the MA 300 on M5 with a clean rejection from there. Really, what we're watching at the moment, though, is what's going to happen here on the hourly. Just under 4 minutes till the close. We popped up into that hourly exponential moving average, the EMA. The EMA is there. I'm rejecting off of there. Looking like a possible H1 SFP here. Not really what we want to see if we're bullish, but this remains our H1 breaker. Two scenarios for a better probability long for me are you get the hourly close above this box and we look for a retest, or we come down into here and maybe we take out an SFP some of these levels down here within the box, and then you'd be looking for a long. On those lower time frames, though, these are the type of signals that I look for as trigger to enter a trade. JJGM, what's up, my dude? Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. Always appreciate you joining us. One of my day one homies. I'm back from my on-chain days. Right now, this is looking like it was a clean short, and as I pointed out on M1, zoom in here. On the 1 minute, you put in that market structure break and look at exactly where we rejected from. I've said before in my Telegram that I'm not a signal service. I'm not about sharing signals. That's not what I'm about. I'm about providing you the tools so that you can monitor the market yourself and learn how to take these trades. And the whole point of these live trade sessions, I'm not currently short. I'm just going to point out, I'm not currently short. I didn't see it in time. We were walking through our weekly inside week setup. So I'm not currently short, but had I been paying attention, this is one of the drawbacks. Not drawbacks, but this is one of the things I have to contend with when I'm doing these live sessions, is that my focus gets a little bit split. I told you about how I like having my battle station open like this so I can see everything. So why is this? Why was this the area to look for the short? Well, the box that I outlined is the M1 breaker into that weekly level that put in a market structure break with a close below here. Comes in and retags or retests from underside. Look at that. Look at that precision. Into those moving averages on the M1 that it started to lose. This isn't looking so hot for bulls at the moment. And with the New York Open having just passed after the carnage from yesterday, and also with everyone that's been trading metals and the seemingly blow off top situation. Actually, I haven't checked the charts much today. I've just seen what's on the timeline. I haven't been focused on trading metals or anything like that. I mostly just trade BTC. I'll be fully honest with you all and open and disclose that. Like the majority of the trading that I do is on BTC. I'm just really in sync with the market there. Now that might be seem counterproductive to a lot of people who look at alts and say, well, you get these massive moves and BTC, it's so like price wise, it's so high. Like, how are you extracting your profits out of the market? Well, when you're using high time frame levels with low time frame execution, like on a good day for trading in general, if you're able to grow your account size by 1 to 2% per day, that's phenomenal. And when you're trading low time frames like this, like say you were looking at this, you're like, this is a short to me. I want to enter short off that retest, right? So you would place your entry off the box of the breaker, set your stop at the exterior of that swing high. So this would not have yielded the 2-to-1 minimum that I look for, but we don't know that this trade is over. This is looking, it could go either way here, to be honest with you. And this is super low time frame. The 2-to-1 would put it somewhere down into here. But when you look at it like that and you're like, excuse me, how are you able to extract enough out of the market trading something like just BTC? Well, if you're very in sync with the market and you're trading low time frames, using a setup like this, where you'd risk 1% of your account if you get stopped out, gain 2% if it goes to full target, trades like this happen all day long. So if you look at BTC and say, I can't make a career out of just trading that, you're not being honest with yourself about what is possible. Because this is just one setup. And setups like this, when we're waiting for our high time frame levels, like that's the key, is you wait for your high time frame level. You're not just trading anywhere. You're waiting for your high time frame levels. You get setups like that, and we can get tighter entries too. Like say up into here, we got an SFP within here. Well, then I would tighten up my risk. And I'm not saying, like I said a few minutes ago, I'm not in this short right now. I'm just seeing what I see at the moment. You can tighten up your risk and pull out easily multiple 2R trades per session. But if you're really patient for those high time frame levels, that is at a minimum. You know, a lot of the times these trades end up giving much higher 5R. I don't want to give you unrealistic expectations because it all comes down to your execution and your personality, right? Like, are you capable of having the patience to wait for those high time frame levels and then taking the setup off of a clean setup and not just, oh, I think it's a short, I'm just going to hop in from anywhere, right? Like you have to have the patience. Understand, like I've been trading long enough now that I know that if I wait and have the patience, I'll get those proper triggers that I'm looking for. And if I don't, I just don't take the trade. And look at that. We've now put in an M1 SFP into the breaker. It's starting to look a little bit strong though, and we're waiting for, oh, so the hourly candle closed. Let's take a look over here. So the hourly candle closed as an SFP. Not great if you're bullish. I do still think though that I'm looking for reasons to be long here. Now we can take a look also on the M1 to see what took place when we dumped down into here. See what the signals were looking like. Right? Like we were getting those aggressive market sells down to this monthly level. Let's take a look over here on M15, what took place. So this is that hourly breaker that we outlined. We're getting a lot of resistance still from these low time frame, short trend moving averages. Go to M5. Right? Those late aggressive buyers into the level. And we're seeing rejection exactly off of the area we outlined. You have to be really nimble when you're trading, especially in the New York open hours, because there's a lot of volatility. And that's what we like, right? We're hunters of volatility. We seek volatility to add fuel to our trades. And we just trade what the market gives us, what the market's showing us. At the moment, I'm hesitant to want to take this as a short. We just put in the New York Open. We're showing a bias to want to try and move a little bit higher. And M1 is super low time frame, so that as a signal, it's very low quality signal. When it aligns with a high time frame, it's a better signal, which we have that high time frame level here. I do think, though, that you want to be hunting longs here rather than shorts. You can take the low time frame scalps if they set up. But to me, I think the better move is waiting for, rather than trying to force a short here. Yes, we have our M1 breaker, but I think the better move is waiting for some sort of signal on M5 or M15, right? Like it would have been beautiful if we got an M5 SFP down in here. Take a look at M15. We're starting to do that slow, grindy chop upwards that would say to me that this probably breaks soon, this level. There's just this I think I would much rather be looking for a signal to get long rather than try to force a short here. We already had all this short action. And we've been taking shorts over longs for quite some time now. For 2 weeks, about. We've been more short biased towards than long biased. When we've already seen this much of a move down towards the lows, right, let's go back to high time frame. Here's H12. See how far we are off of that high. Yeah, we've already come down almost 20% from that weekly SFP. You want to be easing off your aggression towards shorts down here because the bulk of that move has already taken place, right? You want to eat the meat. You don't want to be the meat. Zero Koku GM says, GM, welcome, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Another familiar face. How are you doing today? So my bias right now is, yes, if or when we get up into here, my bias would be again to start hunting shorts, but at the moment down here, don't be the late shorter. Don't be the FOMO shorter who sees this and goes, "Oh, I need to short." No, that's one way ticket to more often than not wrecked city, where you're going to be taking the wrong side of the market in that moment, right? Like when we're down into here into these high time frame levels, we want to be looking for the counter trend move and hunting for reasons to get long down here. So that's our levels on BTC. Let's take a look at what took place on ETH, see how that's been holding up. Okay, this is an interesting one because ETH actually broke H12 bullish again before that massive dump. Let's take a look and see what it looks like on daily. But it was still inside of the bearish daily range. Well, now we have our new swing high. It's looking likely that we're going to MSB this level here. Let me just move this real quick. Let's mark out some of these levels on ETH. So as it stands right now, this is our daily range low on ETH. This is the swing high to swing low. You can actually adjust this. There was that supply. If it can close the day here as an SFP, like it put in an SFP yesterday, but then immediately lower. We've got a long way to go until the daily close. But if ETH can get back up in here, although we are taking out a weekly level, let's zoom right out. Let's see what's going on here. So on Sunday on ETH, I drew out that line and I said, and we were trading just shy of it. I was like, it looks likely to me that we're going to take out that level. It didn't make any sense to me that we wouldn't. Well, now we have. We've taken out that level. Again, high time frame levels, looking for reasons to get bullish at the lows and not bearish at the lows. This is where you want to be hunting longs. The thing that has me concerned is we might be about to print another daily lower low. It's a long way till close, and if bulls can man the fuck up and get us over this level before the close, things would start to look quite bullish. Not quite bullish. They would look in a much better bullish framing. Let's go to H12. So H12 did put in the lower low. We can see that we got that close below here. We're going to adjust some levels. Outline this here. This is our potential daily swing high. This is our potential new swing high for ETH. Range high. We have to see. We don't know yet. On H12, though, it's already the swing high. Get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Do I think this level will be relevant again? I don't know. Sliced right through it here. I think I might get rid of that. So there's some of our H12 levels. We can see how that weekly level is where buyers stepped in, right? Like just start marking out your high time frame levels. And if you need to, set alerts on them so that when price gets into some of them, you're ready to respond if it starts looking like you have a trade available to you there. Let's go to an H4. Just marking out the levels that I see that might be relevant in the future. Back over here to H12. So we're going to adjust this. There's quite a bit of supply that's in here. We have some fair value gaps on H12. We have a supply zone, an order block style supply on H12. Potential daily bearish fair value gap forming there. I don't want to move this just yet on ETH until the range is confirmed. But on H12, it's confirmed as this is your swing high because we made a fresh lower low here. I won't adjust this until the daily close because this is a daily level. Extend this over, start cleaning up. We can now mark out our H4 swing low, right? The same that we did on BTC. And one thing I will say, yes, we came into a high time frame level on such a violent down leg like we've had. I'd actually get way more bullish if we revisited those local H4 lows again, put in an SFP down here. That is my preferred counter trend type of signal. Because yes, now that we've taken out this level, we've taken out the initial liquidity that was sitting here, those resting limit orders, right? People that were waiting to get long, or people that were short closing their positions, which means that, for every short, there's a long. So if you close a short, if you close a perp short, technically you're opening a long. That's how the market works. So this initial liquidity has gotten taken. Now there's going to be new stop losses down here. And for the more patient traders that wait for the high time frame trigger, this is really where I'd love or prefer to look for a counter trend. Yes, this is looking decent in here. Let's see H1. Okay, so how I marked out that breaker on ETH, or sorry, on BTC H1. Well, here it is on ETH. You really want to see it close above there. It's a market structure shift level, not the market structure break. The actual market structure breaker's up here. But then you're leaving a lot, like, especially on the long side, moves have been much smaller than on the short side, that if you're waiting for that break there on H1, you've already lost so much of the move. So what you look for is the initial swing high after that move down as your market structure shift. It's an internal level, meaning that as of right now, this is where the resistance is taking place. If we flip that, it's an internal market structure shift, meaning the character of the structure has shifted. So this would be your H1 breaker, similar to what we have outlined on BTC. We can see here how important that weekly level is. And I will continue to stress how important it is to mark out your high time frame levels, because that's where you want to be taking your trades, where you want to be looking for the interactions. You can throw up the indicators here. I'll switch that over to here so we get the moving averages. You can see what's pinning us down, right? These are the super short length EMAs, the 13 and the 21. And you can see how the hourly is just getting pinned by that. What's also interesting to note, like, different systems and approaches and tools are often going to align at a similar signal. Why is that? Well, these trend following moving averages that are faster moving is showing where the majority of price is traded over time, right? A moving average is just the average of price over time, whereas a VWAP is the average of price over volume. Well, it aligns with here because as of right now, these short length moving averages, there's a lot of activity taking place in here. And when we flip that, or if we flip that, it's just giving you a similar, it's telling you a similar thing, that all of a sudden, these people that are potentially accumulating here are in the money, meaning that their trades are profitable. They're either going to look to protect this area, if we get a close above by adding to their positions here, you're going to get late shorters closing out their positions here, which also puts or adds longs into the market, right? For every short, there's a long when you close. Same thing. And you can see how we're really pinned here still. But also you have the patient traders, people that trade with a similar approach that we go through here. Right? Like if you don't trade this initial reaction here, this knife catch scalp, it's not really a knife catch if you have your levels marked out and you're seeing things take place, because that's why we mark those levels. But if you wake up today and you see this, well, the patient traders, the strategy that we talk about often is you get that close above there to give you confirmation of a potential turn. Then you're going to have people looking to enter on a retest, which is what we're talking about right now. So for me, there's no long here, but this is what we're monitoring. Let's take a look at Solana. Ooh, squiggles be squiggling, right? These are those levels that we mark out. Shared this in the Telegram that this is the area where I would be looking for the next short. Well, we came into this level, and boom. Let's do the same thing that we've been. Oh, this is not good for Solana. Monthly close is less than 2 days away. If we close below this level, that is really bad for Solana. This is a range that we've been trading in for a long time. Now, it could just be a deviation of the lows, and if we get back inside, then that's a really strong long, right? Like say, we do something like that, right? Like drops down here for the beginning of next month, and then it gets back inside of here, and you get something like a weekly close inside. That's a really strong long to say possibly to trade up there. I'm not suggesting we're in that environment, to be honest, because the market's showing us that we're not. But that is something to be aware of. But if this monthly closes below here, ooh, where's our next support levels, right? Like, yes, there's a level here. There's a level here. Maybe we'll just mark this because we are so close to it. Just to, if or when Solana gets there, we're ready to respond rather than why is price here? What's going on? Is there a reason why we're starting to see buyers step in here? If that is what happens, we don't know yet. So on weekly, right? We were talking about that inside week, took out the highs. Well, Solana has definitively taken out the lows. We outlined that during our last weekly close show last Sunday. Well, now we're taking out this weekly range quarter that we outlined as well last Sunday. Let's keep this moving along. So let's mark out some of these levels. This is our current daily swing low, our daily range low. We SFP'd it yesterday, but immediately today, back below it. If we can get the daily close back above here, that'd be a pretty good signal to want to take that counter trend long. We're just kind of floating and dangling here in the middle of nowhere, though, which I don't love. We start outlining some of those levels. All right, we came up into the supply. It's exactly where sellers stepped in. Right, what is supply? It's just people that have supply, right, waiting to push into the market. There's more supply than demand. That's how you determine your bias in market structure. That's how you determine where your supply or demand is. Well, we've been in a lower low environment on daily after putting in that weekly SFP up here. If daily today closes below here, this will become our new daily swing high. We'll remove some of these levels. Like I already think I can probably get rid of that. This would become our new market structure break level potentially. On H12, we've already done that, right? Oh, did it manage to hold that on H12? Let's take a look. Let's zoom right in here. So H12 did SFP that level, but we're clearly below it now. Get rid of this. Clout collection complete. Just taking a look to see if or what I might adjust here. Let's get rid of this. Does not look relevant anymore. Let's see how those high time frame levels give you those responses. So we're into a weekly range quarter level here. If we can close back up here and confirm the H12 swing low here. Okay, let's clean some of this up. Get rid of that. So on H4 for Solana, a couple things I see is we have a swing high right here. We have our swing low here. This is our H4 range. It's a bearish range. You can see exactly where we came up into that daily and H12 level there. And it's where we're seeing sellers step in within this little area of supply. Just looking for levels that I can clean off. Do I want to clear these off yet? If the daily confirms there, yes. But in future moves, this is where I would also be looking for interactions. Just this. Current interval and below. Current interval and below. There's our H4 on Solana. I don't know, lads. It's not looking so hot, is it? It's not looking so hot. Ooh. Okay, something I can see here on Solana. Within that H4 supply, right? I briefly said like there's an area of supply there. This is supply right here. This area into that level. Well, we put in an H1 SFP into there. Here, pop that up. You can see it right there. So what do we do with that? Well, then we'd go down to low time frames and see what took place into the level. Okay. So a couple things I can already see that are standing out to me. Which is the highest candle here? Okay. If this M15 closes below there, this box, that's our M15 bearish breaker. M15 bearish breaker. M5 has already confirmed it. All right, like we can span this over to here. There's our M5. Solana is looking like a cleaner short than the BTC one we were talking about earlier. Let's take a look at M1. Take a look and see what took place up here. M1 already confirmed the breaker. Right, this was your M1 area here. When it closed below, you even had a retest into that daily level there where we rejected exactly off of, which also happened to be where the H1 SFP took place. It looks really bad for Solana here. Does not look great. Let's come back over here. Let's look again for that level. Yeah, we're significantly below that monthly level now. I know. Earlier in the show, I was saying I don't like to look for shorts when we're this far down and close to the range lows. It's not looking so hot, though. Let's take a look back on BTC. Again, tagged the MA300 on M5. Perfect rejection off of there. Let's take a look at M15. Okay, well, there's your M15 breaker for BTC. I know I'm moving around fairly quickly here, and you might be like, well, why is that Why is that? Why is that over a different level? These are just things that I see immediately, right? This was a swing high that put in that H1 SFP. So this is the swing low that created the wick of the H1 SFP. If M15 closes below here, which is looking likely, 1 minute to close. I mean, it can save this. It doesn't have to close below, obviously. If this, then that. We're not trying to force our views. Monitoring this close. Five. Let's go to M1, see what's going on here. Okay, so you can see that M1 breaker that we outlined at the top of the show held as supply. Now we're about to confirm the M15. What does that mean? Well, we're looking for retest into here as the next shorts because we've all but confirmed the H1 SFP now. What do I mean when I'm saying that? What does it mean when I say we've all but confirmed the H1 SFP? So let's take a step back. Let's remove these indicators so it's a little less busy. Let me reset all of this so that it's all. So we can see things going on. We're back down into that monthly level right now. So what do I mean when I say we've all but confirmed the H1 SFP? So this is the H1 SFP level here, the top of the breaker that we outlined. This is why we wait for confirmation of the close above, right? Like we were up here and we were trading up here and we're like, well, maybe we're going to get bullish. Well, now we've just trapped a bunch of traders. People that were trying to take the breakout trade, the FOMO traders, the ones without patience, are trapped there. There's the H1 SFP level. It's the top of our H1 breaker. What do I mean when I say we've confirmed the H1 SFP on lower time frames? Well, there it is. We just had the M15 close, right? We just printed an M15 lower low. This is now our M15 supply. Look at where we're stopping though on that high time frame monthly level. So this was the swing low that created the H1 SFP. This is the low time frame M15 swing low that created the H1 SFP. We've now put in a market structure break when we close below the low. This now becomes our M15 bearish breaker. You can see that on M5 as well. Swing low. All right, just move that over so you can see the wick. There's the swing low that created the H1 SFP. Put in a market structure break. And it closed below, making this also our M5 breaker. It's an M15 breaker, this box, but it's also the M5. We can also now go to M1. And we can see when you go lower time frames, you get really tight. And look at how much of a better entry. Now, let me pop this back up because this is the trade that I was outlining earlier, right? Enter off the bottom of the box, right? This is your market structure break level on M1. Also your basic entry level, basic trade entries. You just take a limit off the edge of the box. Let's see if we get that 2-to-1 here. I'm annoyed I'm not short right now. I'm annoyed I'm not short right now. Oh, it is what it is. I'm not going to chase this. I'm not about chasing, right? We already took out the high time frame level. What I would monitor for now, though, is since we've put in the M5 break, M15 bearish breaker, price action into here, like a bounce up into here, is where I'll be looking for the next short. And what I would look for is something like maybe we get an M15 SFP in here, or maybe we get an M5 SFP into here. Maybe it comes and takes out this level again. Or maybe some more chop occurs here. And we put in like a swing high or two. And then we have levels to frame a trade off of. Could you take this as a long right now? I don't know. I don't know that I want to be. Well, yes, we're hunting lows. We're hunting longs when we're near the lows, and that's where we are. We're near the range lows. We want to be hunting longs rather than shorts. But low time frame, the trade that just set up is a short. Let's open this back up. What would have me wanting to get long here, as I said at the top of the show, is maybe we take out some of these hourly swing lows within the breaker. That would actually be an SFP. Like, I don't want it to just, let me get rid of this now. Actually, no, let me go, let's put this on M15. No, this was an M1. So let me just, here. There we go. So let's go back to hourly. What I would like to see is to actually SFP one or some of these levels in here as a reason to get long. Just a retag of this, we can see how much we've chopped around that monthly level, and it hasn't led to much. It's not enough of a signal yet for me. I would want to see some of these H1, these hourly swing levels that are here, these internal swing levels. I would like to see an SFP take place in there, right? Like, oh, so we did actually take out that level. You can zoom in. Yeah, we can see there. It came just below it. Okay. So does that alter my view right now? 24 minutes until the H1 close. We put in that H1 SFP there. Let's just put a level as a guide. And we'll go look. Let's take a look and see what happened on M15 here. We're into that M15 bearish breaker now. But we also put in an H1 SFP here. To be honest, at the moment, I would do nothing here. This is a lot of chop, and it's giving you a lot of conflicting signals in rapid succession that I would need third level signal, meaning, okay, we've put in this M15 bearish breaker off the H1 SFP. Now what I would want is another lower time frame SFP within here. Or if it's going to reverse, to flip and put in a bullish reversal in here, which this is not yet. Yes, it took out that level. That doesn't mean shit yet, though. And look at exactly where we look. It's our M1 breaker again, providing resistance there. This might just be the environment on a day like today. We just prefer added patience rather than trying to force a trade. Right? Like these are those moments where you get a little bit conflicted inside because you're saying to yourself, okay, we're near range lows. I want to be looking for reasons to get long rather than trying to force shorts for the last scraps of the move. We've put in an intraday bearish signal. But you have a likelihood that you're just going to end up chopping yourself a little bit on a day like today, especially we're onto a Friday. Where volatility tends to get front loaded and then dies off exponentially throughout the day. I'm going to pop into the chat. How is everybody doing? Does anyone have any questions or any chart requests for me today? Maybe we can look at something fun. Oh, you know what we can do? We can take a look at the hype chart again. It kept ripping and ripping after our weekly SFP H4 breaker long setup that we walked through and shared on Sunday. Well, on Tuesday, we looked at I said, you know, I don't really want to be longing here now after this move, after that explosive move, because it had ripped so much. But then I kept going more. But I also said I'm not looking for any shorts on this thing. It's the strongest coin in the market. Let me just adjust these charts a bit. Yeah, I hate to say it, lads, but I don't want to force a trade here. I think the next better trade, and this is going to be shitty to say, but it's going to come either later in the weekend if we take out this H4 level here, right? Take out the swing low. Or if we can confirm this H1 breaker, this bullish H1 breaker, getting conflicting signals up in here, right? Like we can see the conflict within, right? What's that? From Star Wars, right? Like I can sense the conflict within. Well, that's what's taking place here, right? We're getting conflicting signals to both directions. So let's just save this for a moment. We're going to take a look at our high time frame swing setup. Right, so there's hype. Put in that weekly SFP. Ooh, I do notice that we took out that inside week low. Now we've taken out the inside week high, and we're back underneath the level. Two days and change to close above it, but we have taken out that, and this is a gnarly looking weekly wick. That is a gnarly looking wick. Let's go down to H12. So, okay, this is what we outlined. We were here during the last stream, right? Tuesday. Yeah, we were here. And what I said was we'd be looking for next longs from one of these areas. Well, we've come down into here. Now we can mark out our range high. We have our range high set, right? Like this is our daily our daily bullish range high. This is our daily range. It's a bullish range. We've come down now. We don't want weekly to close back in here because that would be that inside week taking out the highs that we just walked through and outlined on BTC, the reaction that got when we outlined that from 2 weeks ago. But there are 2 days and change until the close. So if weekly can hold above there, different picture. Here's our daily bullish range. This was our market structure break level. What I can see, right, we're trying to outline our next target zones. Well, we have a daily bullish fair value gap right here. This region here is the fair value gap within here, right? ICT nomenclature. Although I learned all of that from the homie Trader Main. I did actually go down the ICT rabbit hole though, like 4-5 years ago. Did the whole 2016 course, you know, the one that's recommended before he goes too crazy and talking about too much fucking random shit that you just really don't need. Looking in the chat, hey IX, good stuff, man, much appreciated. Also on hype, we had a nice bullish div, so yeah, I imagine there would be after a strong move like that. I don't look at bull divs and stuff like that. I don't look at RSI at all. And I'm very light on indicators outside of what I'm using for low time frame execution to get me on board trades. Waiting for the weekly to close on hype and also want to see if it will respect the 28 level or close under it before taking any position. Doesn't hurt to try different stuff from different people. No, of course not. The way that I view trading is, and the beautiful thing about trading is that there are 100 different ways to arrive at conclusions. There's all kinds of different systems, and it doesn't mean to say that one system is better than others. It's just what resonates with you as a trader that gets you onboard trades and gives you success and gives you consistency, right? I think somewhere where traders get caught up, especially if they're newer in their journey, is they start looking to this system and that system and that system, and oh, this isn't working today, so I'm going to go try that system. And then what all of a sudden happens is you have a million different strategies that you're trying to take place on, but you're not actually collecting any data, because a strategy may um, it may have a high enough win rate that if you are targeting a good risk to reward, that you are profitable over the long run, right? But even with, what is it? It's like 35 or 40% win rate is like a real target that a lot of people have as their win rate and are profitable. But that also means that you're going to have strings and runs of losing trades. Well, why I love the approach that I use with these high time frame levels and low time frame execution is it's brought my losing trades right down, because I'm really nimble. I'm able to cut on low time frame if I'm not liking the way the price is unfolding, but I'm also willing and really quick to get back on board the trade if it starts to give me what I'm looking for, which means my drawdown is super low and my win rate is quite high. It's just, but that's the type of trading that I like to do. I like to be present and active in the market when I show up to my desk during my working day. You know, I approach it like a business. It's my job. But yeah, you can. So what I was saying was, traders, like people that are still trying to figure it out, or that have seen some success, but then they see losing streaks and then they start jumping from system or strategy to strategy. That's where it gets tough, because you're not collecting the real data and you're not allowing the law of probabilities to play out. So hey, I apologize if I'm butchering. I know it's Hey AIX or Hey IX. Apologies for butchering. Says that's pretty amazing. Not gonna lie, and yeah, I think if you have a hold on your feelings when trading, it'll be the best possible thing to have. It is. You need to be able. You need to be nimble. Like I used to focus on fairly. I've always been focused on high time frame levels, but I was taking entries off of more of a mid time frame, right? So what's TraderMain's process or system? It's the H12 H1, which is great and is successful for him and a lot of other traders. I've taken that a level deeper, and I use those high time frame levels, but I'm looking for much lower time frame execution, because I found out about myself over the years of trading is I really don't like being underwater. I fucking hate it. Even if I know where my invalidation is, I like to show up, trade intraday, take my trades, go about my business, collect my account percent growth, collect my W's, minimize my L's, meaning I'll cut quickly so that I'm mitigating that risk, because I'm getting such low time frame entry that you can get very tight, that you're able to get back on board, because the moves, you don't need price to move that far if your entry is super tight and you're able to extract a similar or higher amount from each trade. And you also get more trades within a day. Like I like to be active and present. I like to take trades, but I also like to be rewarded for it pretty quickly. And if it's not moving the way that I like to see, I will get out of the trade and look for the next trade. And that may be the same trade, just with a different trigger. Okay, so sorry about that rant, everyone. So we're into monthly, right? This is monthly demand. This is a monthly fair value gap. Also monthly demand here, right? Order block style. But we're into that monthly. We put in a monthly SFP, which is really good quality signal. Not loving this. You can see we're back inside that inside week level, right? We don't want to be going weekly SFP to weekly SFP. It's not ideal. But here's that daily area of demand, our daily range, market structure break level. Let's go down H12. So here's, these were some levels that we were looking for possible trades off of. Maybe this is going to be it. All right. Get rid of this. I'm going to leave that because it, support, lost the level, resistance, flipped it again. So, this may become important again. I don't know if it's going to come all the way back down here, and it would look quite bearish on weekly if it did, but it's just keep that level for now. We're into areas where we outlined last session on Tuesday, for hype that we'd be hunting the next longs. Let's see if we've got anything else working with. Right? See how we came to that level on H4 and swept it. I'm just trying to see if there's, so hold on. I don't want these showing up in other time frames because it gets muddy and difficult to see what's going on. So here we are on H4. Let's keep going down. So on H1, you had a market structure shift, right? This is your H1 market structure shift breaker. So if hype is going to keep going up, and this is the setup that you think it's going to find the higher low from, this is a potential setup, right? We've put in that market structure shift, right? Like on BTC and ETH and SOL, we've outlined those H1 breakers based off of a market structure shift, not a break. The break is up here. We put in those market structure shift levels. This is what you want to see hold right now on H1. And go down lower. There's no, like it put in a potential M15 SFP here, but then it closed right through it. So it negated it. Just throw the indicators on and see what we're seeing here. Actually, no. Let's go to, let's come in over here. So we lost the H1 trend. That's fine because the lower time frame, in this case the H1, when we're talking about a weekly and daily setup, you're going to lose and go counter trend to the high time frame trend. That's fine, right? We're just trying to hunt the bottom. If this is where it's going to happen, I would like to see something else in here. Maybe it comes in and takes out that H1 level, but we want to see some development take place here, right? You can see this is where that M15 SFP was, but then it lost it immediately after, projecting into those levels. You can see all that aggressive selling, right? This is all perps, late aggressive sellers into that weekly level. Like don't be these guys. When you're trading, don't be, see all these bubbles? Here you were rewarded, but when you come and start getting into high time frame levels, don't keep pushing. Likelihood that there's going to be some level of reaction and potential turn goes up quite a bit. Just taking a look to see what I can see. Yeah, I think I would want, because of the time frame of this move, I don't think you really want to be monitoring this much lower than H1 because it was a weekly move. But this is where the higher low on hype is potentially going to come in. I just don't have a trigger here right now. Yeah, you've put in an M5 MSB here, but it hasn't taken out, like for a breaker to be valid for me, it needs to take out a higher time frame level first. And there, you know, it hasn't taken out, for me, what that would be is an hourly level, which is down here. Or maybe it's even back down to the bottom of the box. See M5, go M15. Yeah, I mean, this is what you would be framing your trade on, is that this M15 took out this level here. It's not really strong enough case for me that this is where I want to long yet, other than this H1 market structure shift, but we're below the moving averages. It's looking a bit pinned. But on hype, you know, maybe it comes down and takes out the H4 EMA 200, which is right here. Let's put those averages up. Right, here's the H4 EMA 50, the H4 EMA 200, the MA 300, and the MA 100. It's a cluster aligning here. Maybe it's one more stab down, and then you're looking to take a play out of here. Like this very well could be it here. but maybe it's one more stab down here. I'm just not seeing yet a trigger for long, at least for me at the moment. Like we can go super low time frames here. Okay, so I was talking about don't be the guy pressing short in your high time frame levels. Well, this was if you're monitoring live, if you're just trading, like if you're this low time frame, you need to really be zeroed in on one market. It's incredibly difficult to monitor more than one, maybe two or three assets on this time frame if you're trading intraday, because you're just going to miss those triggers, right? Like I've been very vocal about the fact that I predominantly trade BTC these days. If you were trading hype on low time frames rather than getting those high time frame swings, you're trading on low time frame. It's coming down into our high time frame level and giving you this signal that there's a lot of late market shorters, late aggressive market shorters into the level. That's my signal to pay attention that the reversal is likely. Right, just like here, late aggressive buyers, although it ended up keeping going up. But there's no high time frame level here, right? That's the whole thing. Actually, there is. There's a weekly level right there. And you can see that they bought right into it. But that's, it's not a great trade. I think what you want is for to take out that level there. But overall hype is not looking bad. I just don't like that it's taken out this inside week high, and we're now back below. But this also just shows you don't you can have patience in these markets, right? Like everyone got incredibly bullish into here. Now there's a whole lot of people underwater. What else can I see here? Well, here's weekly supply. Right there. Right? There's weekly supply. Everyone's getting super bullish. That doesn't take away from the fact that daily and H12 have flipped market structure back to bullish, right? Like very few coins can say that. Hype is one of them. I think you can have patience here for finding the long, though. I don't think you need to rush. But you need to make your own decisions. You need to be able to, right? I'm trying to give you tools so that you can make your own decisions. I don't want to tell you whether to take a trade or not. I will just show you the trades that I take and the setups that I see. Given that we're into the weekend and TradFi is closing up, like there's speculation that a lot of this was TradFi getting on board the hype trade, right? Like it was spoken about it at Davos, right? So that gets a lot of eyeballs. And that's a lot of capital that moves that market like that. With TradFi closing, I think you might have opportunity to find a trade in here. I wouldn't force it though. Right, and as I said that, right, that H1 is still coming down. I think maybe if you get that trigger down into here. Looking in the chat, what do I think about pump right now? I haven't looked at pump in a while. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at pump and let's see what we're seeing. Okay, well, immediately, there's a weekly SFP underway. Weekly SFP underway into supply, right? I've had that marked up for a long time, but I haven't looked at this chart in forever. Weekly bearish SFP into the weekly supply zone. Let's take a look at what's happening here. Look, the last time I was looking at pump was back in November. Let's clean some of this up. So pump, this was a nice long right here. SFP'd the H12 lows, It's also a bullish H4 breaker right here. Right. SFP the low, market structure break. This is a bullish H12 breaker. We are monitoring this weekly SFP though, which is a higher signal than H12. But as of right now, this is what I see. If we can find continuation from here, let's mark out our range. This is our swing high. Let's go back to daily. Let's see on daily. Yeah, that's our daily swing high. Here's our daily swing low. It's also a daily bullish breaker. So it's not just an H12 bullish breaker, it's a daily bullish breaker. Here we are on H12. Let's go to H4, see what we're working with. That's nuts, the amount of bubbles going on here. Okay, so what can I see? Here's an H4 swing low. There's an H4 swing high. I'm just marking out the levels, right? Like things that could become relevant if or when price gets there. We're looking for the interactions. Okay. So how I outlined that bullish daily breaker. This is the bearish H4 breaker, right? Closed below, came up into it, right? Exactly where it rejected off of. If the weekly closes as an SFP, I would be looking for any move up into here to be a short. But for now, because we have 2 days until the weekly close, if you get a move down into here, that's where you're looking for a long. Let's go even lower. Take out H1. Okay. If pump, see how it SFP'd the breaker high, came back in. If pump can close above here, you're longing a retest. One thing that's standing out to me today so far is the conflicting signals that are taking place. And when it's that conflicting and the trades aren't as clear to me, because we're getting that, we had that weekly SFP with a confirmed H4 bearish breaker, but we also had a daily SFP with a confirmed daily bullish breaker, right? And we're into the bullish breaker now, so we want to be leaning towards looking for longs, but I'm really aware of that weekly SFP that's underway. It's hard for me to pick a side here other than low time frame intraday because of what the market is showing me. Is it possible to share with us the indicators that you're using right now? Sure. So what was that beep, by the way? You heard that alarm go off? That's just the H4 candle closes, right? I like to have my alerts set up. Where are we at? It's 11. Ooh, we've already been live for an hour and a half. I'm probably going to wrap this up soon. Bit of a smaller audience today. It's Friday after a market dump. People tend to go a little bit quiet on the timeline and aren't as present after something like that happens. But when there's been a big market move, to me, that's when you want to start paying attention, because then you're looking for the counter move, the opposite direction, right? That's where the opportunity lies. So you're asking about the indicators. Well, there's a few that I use. Let's put this back to H4. All right, this was the daily breaker. Okay. Let's put this on daily. Just bear with me a second. And then we'll wrap it up after I walk through the indicators really quickly. What I'll do is I'll switch to my other layout, my intraday trading layout. And there's a lot on my screen, right? You can see there's a lot going on. What we'll focus on is, we'll go to H1 because it's a good mix in between. So let's remove them really quickly and we'll go one by one. So these are just our levels that we have outlined. So what I can do is, let's hide drawings. Let's just start with the indicators. Let's keep it clean, and then we'll wrap this up. So those bubbles I've been talking about, it's an indicator from Leviathan, market order bubbles, that show you where market participants are getting aggressive in the market. So here, these are aggressive sellers. They're different sizes, right? Like you can see these tiny little ones, the larger ones, the medium-sized ones. They just alert you to the type of presence in the market. And I'm looking to counter trade them when we're into a level of interest of mine. That's how I use those, is when we get into a high time frame level of interest for me, I'm using them to try and counter trade if I'm getting the other signals aligning to say that the trade is valid. So that's market order bubbles from Leviathan. You can search them. It's a free indicator. The Lux Algo swing failure pattern indicator. It's about the only SFP indicator that I've found that actually works. I use it in combination with a suite of screeners that I built personally for SFP hunting. The screeners are more reliable than the indicator, but the indicator I use is a visual, especially for low timeframes, because I don't mark levels on anything below H4. I let the indicators do that heavy lifting for me, because when I'm on lower timeframes, I need to be executing. I don't need to be going through and drawing in each little line, right? So that's the Lux Algo swing failure pattern. I have 2 instances on because with the different settings, just having one up wasn't catching all of them. And I have them with different settings. Maybe we can see here. This is on swings 1. This is on swings 2, but on different time frames, I use different settings. I don't really, if you go back to, which session was it? In one of the older streams, I actually walk through all the individual time frame settings, but play around with them to find where it's showing you the most SFPs, because you want to be, it's as a visual cue so that it makes your life easier. So that's those. I also use multi-time frame averages. This is one that I built myself. It's based around the similar moving averages approach that Pierre and Krillin use in the Haven. I learned it from them when I was in the Haven a while back. So shout out to Pierre and Krillin from the Haven. Great traders, really great guys to learn from. Really chads when it comes to the moving averages. I use them in a little bit different way than they use them. So this is one that I built myself, but you can create your own version. Right, and all it is we've got the EMA 13, EMA 21, EMA 50, MA 100, EMA 200, the MA 300, also permanent H4 time frame. Like these are all locked to the time frame of the chart. Then I have permanent H4 and H4 EMA 50 and 200. Now on the H1, I don't have the 50 up because that's the same as the H4 200, right? See that? See how it just popped up on top of that? Right? The H4 EMA 50 is the same as the H1 EMA 200. Right? You see that? See how that's popping up there? But these are the averages that I use. And I use them as target guides. I use them also as entries if I'm getting like a signal, like an SFP into a moving average as an entry point. I use them as entries and targets, as well as you can use them to say, okay, well, we're clearly in a downtrend. Wait for it to flip some of those, which also aligns with flipping that H1 breaker box that was outlined. We'll pop that up again in a minute. I also have key level suite from Leviathan. I'm using this less and less lately. Although we can see here that previous daily low level, also at the top of our breaker. So this is the thing. My primary analysis style is from going from a clean chart and marking out my levels and my supply and demand zones and breakers. That's my primary analysis, and that's what I rely on heaviest, especially the high time frame levels. But then the indicators are there, especially for low time frames, to help make my job easier. So we've got previous daily low, daily open, previous weekly low, Monday high, right? And you can get super granular with this. There's other there's other levels indicators out there, like Spaceman BTC has a good one. I just found this one to give me a lot more granular input, right? Like look at all the different options that you can set up based on what it is that you like to trade, right? Like daily, different days. You have your open, high, low, midpoint. You can put up volume profiles and just have it marked out by lines. Session levels, right? Your New York session, your London session, your Asian session. You can put different averages, but I prefer the real-time moving averages. Yeah, it's a lot of options. But I don't use much of it, right? And I've actually been lately debating whether I even need it much anymore at all. But it's nice to see that confluence right there, right? Like when I was marking out that breaker, I was not looking at that at all. But now that I've removed, right? Look at exactly where that is, right? There's my breaker that I have outlined. I trust my analysis, my primary analysis, so that I trust my analysis first and then indicators second. I just use them as ways to make my life easier when I'm actually executing. There's also VWAP on here, but I only use that for generally just the daily, the green one. Like I have it on other timeframes, and this is a weekly VWAP. I'm not really monitoring that at all, actually. And why I don't have this up on the hourly or above on my charts is because the hourly daily VWAP isn't very useful for me. It's the same levels as it would be on other timeframes. Like here, look. We go to M15. Show me that VWAP. It's loading sheet. It's a lot more actionable on lower time frames. This is just my hourly. This is just my hourly panel, right? Like if we zoom out here, we're looking at this panel here, right? H12, H1, M5, M1, H4, M15. And these are just time frame pairs, right? Like I like using a pair of time frames to take my trades off of, right? So on H12, I'm looking for H1 market structure breaks. On H4, M15, or sometimes M5. And then these M5 and M1 is my execution timeframes. And that's how I get around a chart. So that's the indicators. You can see even here, like on M15, it's the same indicators, right? Market order bubbles, VWAP sweep, we can see that green VWAP there, the session. Multi-time frame averages, the SFPs, and the levels, right? But you see how I have the levels really muted in the background, that very faint gray. It's just so that I can sense them being there. And it's not even so much what the level is, like the labeling. It's just about knowing where those levels are because I'm looking for interactions. All I'm about is looking for interactions at levels. I don't predict very much. I form a bias on high time frame and say this is what I think is what I'm looking for, but I don't give specific predictions. I'm just looking for interactions, right? Like look at this interaction of the London high into the moving average, right? Just things that I look for that help me get on board a trade faster. So I don't have to be in my analyst brain. I can be in my execution brain, my trading brain. I do all my analysis on high time frames ahead of time so that when we get into those levels, when we get into my high time frame levels, I can look to react and respond to the interactions. I think we're going to wrap it up because there's no trades here. Like, what did I say a little while ago? Let me turn these back on so that it's the way that I like it. And I have a TPO indicator here. Honestly, I never use it. I went down the order flow rabbit hole last year and was really into it. And I know great traders that use it and with very high success with it. You know, shout out to Ryan over at the stable. You know, I sought some of the best in the game using order flow and auction market theory. to learn from. And I learned tremendous amounts, but it ended up just being noise for me for the way that I like to trade. I like clean levels. And I have a really good approach and sense of where market structure is and what the ranges are and the levels that I'm looking for interactions at. That it became an extra layer of complexity that just ended up costing me more time and ended up hindering me from taking trades. So you have to find what works for you. And what I've developed a hybrid system that I call order flow light, because what are these market order bubbles? And these, okay, the last thing I didn't show, you'll see that some of the bars are hollow, or most of them are hollow, then you'll get the ones that are filled in. That's relative volume, also from Leviathan. Leviathan makes some fucking brilliant indicators, and they're all free. I highly recommend using or finding his indicators. But I use a hybrid order flow light approach, right? So the market order bubbles and the filled in candles, those are my version of order flow, right? Like this is late aggressive sellers, aggressive market sellers. It's market activity, high relative volume into a high time frame level. I'm just using it as ways to spot the trend reversals. And as we said at the top of the show, or not at the top of the show, but a little while back, it just seems sort of conflicted here with what the market wants to do, right? M15 breaker that we're chopping through and no real clear direction. After we put in H1 SFPs to both end, right? Let's put the indicator back there. We put in H1 SFP of the high, H1 SFP down here, still chopping below those moving averages. If I had to guess, which I don't like to guess, I'm not a huge guesser, but if I had to say, I think eventually this trades up further. But there's no trigger here for me right now, and I don't want to, right? Like this is just chop city, and I'm not interested in getting involved in that. If I can't even pull a 2-hour minimum trade, right? I usually like much higher than that, but if I can't even pull a 2-hour minimum trade, then it's just not worth it. I would much rather wait. Give me, what did I say before? I would love to get long off of an SFP down here, or maybe a few more candles form and we get another H4 swing low somewhere in here that we can SFP off of and take a long, maybe on Sunday morning, right? Like Sundays often lead to that move. We get that chop over late Friday, all day Saturday, and then Sunday we get a move up or a move down that we can fade, right? Because we have an H4 swing high potentially here, just under 4 hours. So this candle just opened, right? We heard the alarm go off, but maybe we get an SFP up there or somewhere here, depending on how the candles play out over the next 2 days. There's just no trade here for me right now. And I don't want to force anything here. I don't want you guys to follow me into a trade. And it just sits there. Like the last thing I like doing is entering a trade that I'm just chopping around for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And hours. I'm not interested in that, right? I pick my days, I pick my battles, I pick my spots. I have the patience for my levels. I don't have the patience to sit in a trade and then spend all day Saturday checking the chart with no movement whatsoever and like not enjoying the week. I got a family, I got kids. I like to enjoy my life. It's sunny out where I am right now. There's just no trades here. So unfortunately, lads, well, actually, our M1 breaker has continued to hold. So there was that. Okay. Speaking about those late aggressive market participants, right? Not limit orders, but market participants. Well, they got aggressive into that level again, and that's exactly where we bounced from. And if you're super low, like if you want to just scalp the M1, this is what you got to do. You got to use these tools. Have your levels marked out and just scalp the positions, right? I'm gonna get rid of this for now because I'm not interested in shorting here right now. There's no real clear indication to me which way we want to trade right now. And when it's like that, I tell myself, you don't have to force a trade. Let's just chill. Are there any further questions before we wrap it up? My little rant there at the end, right? Like, I do have a feeling that we're going to be higher over the coming days. I just don't know if this is enough of a trigger for me. I would much rather that or another H4 candle in here. Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime. Thank you for joining. I don't recognize your handle, so either you're new to the shows or you've been before but never asked any questions. And that's the greatest way to learn in trading, is to ask questions. The people that show up and actually ask the questions are the ones who move ahead. So if there is nothing else, we're going to wrap it up because we've gone, almost 2 hours. I did not want to have a long stream like that, but it is what it is. We went through a lot today. We marked out, adjusted our charts. Like, there's a lot of adjusting to do, and we'll do that again on Sunday for the weekly close show. So let me just pop back over here. I want to thank everyone for joining me here live today. Once again, I am Rapture, and you've been tuned in for Rapture Scalp and Swing Sessions, number 8, live perps trading and analysis, the New York Open show. We looked at BTC ETH and Sol. We looked and hunted live trade setups, which nothing doing here this morning with low time frame execution. I walked through the process of what you should be looking for so that you can take the trades when they occur. We just didn't have anything worth trading this morning. We reviewed what the inside week play is on a few different charts. We looked at it on BTC. We looked at it on Sol, how it got the complete follow through. We also looked at it on Hype as a possible inside week high takeout play from this week. We're watching the weekly close on Hype. We also looked at Pump by request. And with that, everyone, I bid you a very pleasant weekend. Don't get yourselves chopped up. Wait for your high time frame levels. Do the work. Pick your spots. And have a wonderful weekend. Oh, and before I take off, got to do the obligatory. If you like the work that I'm doing here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, whether that's on YouTube or on Twitter. It helps me grow the platform, helps me know that I'm giving you quality information and that you like what's happening here, and that you're learning, and that you like to learn, and that you're getting better at your trading, or that you're on a journey to get better at your trading, to become consistent, right? Like, that's my whole thing, is consistency. It took a while to get there, but I've been consistent now for a while. When I went back to the drawing board over the last year to rebuild my process, that's the whole goal, is to bring you guys along the journey to get to a place of consistency. It's one thing if you're getting a couple great trades and then you wipe it all out with shitty decisions or shitty execution, or not having a process or understanding where you're invalidated, right? Like, it's easy to catch a few flukes. It's really difficult to become consistent. And that's what we want. I want you guys to get consistent. So I thank you for joining me on this journey. And on that, I'm signing off. Have yourselves a great weekend. Catch up with me in the Telegram channel, Rapture's Tradebook. Links in the description or on my Twitter bio. Peace out, y'all.